is Joy News Prime.
Welcome to another edition of Joy News Prime. Still, your most comprehensive 2 hours of television news in Ghana. My name is Israelite. Coming up, Speaker of Parliament sworn in as acting president in the absence of both President John Mahama and his vice, in keeping with recent Supreme Court ruling. National Security Council issues alert about credible threat of a possible terrorist attack and urges the public to be vigilant. Ghana Water Company resumes production from Densu River after it was discovered that the severe drafting of the river was caused by a reef built by sand winners.
And coming up in business, public debt hits 97 billion Ghana cedis as of September last year. An indication government's efforts to reduce the debt has not been that successful.
Aggrieved customers of microfinance firms who lost millions of Ghana cedis in deposits demonstrate over the delay in releasing their funds to them. Business news is up in the next 30 minutes with entertainment, sports, and our interactive segment, Joy News Interactive, following in the second hour of this bulletin, available across Europe on London-based ABN television station. Right, so we get on to our very first story. And Speaker of Parliament Edward Duajawo was on Wednesday sworn in as acting president in the absence of President John Mahama and Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur. At a short ceremony before members of Parliament, Chief Justice Georgina Wood administered the presidential oath in line with the requirements of Article 60, subsection 12 of Ghana's 1992 Constitution.
In the name of the Almighty God, swear.
Do in the name of the Almighty God swear.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Republic of Ghana as by law established.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Republic of Ghana as by law established.
That I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of Ghana.
That I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of Ghana.
And that I will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana.
And defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Now, on two previous occasions when the president and his vice were out of the country, Duajawo refused to take the oath, arguing he needn't take it more than once, having done so in a previous instance when both the president and his vice were away. This was, however, challenged at the Supreme Court, which ruled that it is a constitutional obligation for the Speaker to take the presidential oath and assume responsibilities of the president and his deputy any time the need arises. President Mahama is traveling to Scotland on official duty. The Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur is also in India. And staying with Parliament, government is seeking amendments to the Electronic Communication Bill to address technical and financial challenges and allow Ghanaians to play roles in the sector. Parliament's Subsidiary Legislation Committee is deeply divided on the issue of the number of applicants one person can guarantee under the election regulations to guide next month's limited voters registration exercise. Documents available to Joy News suggest officials of the Electoral Commission could not provide the reasoning behind allowing one individual to act as guarantor for a maximum of 5 applicants who cannot provide any evidence of identification for registration. The details captured in CI 91, set to come into fruition on Friday, will regulate conduct of the exercise. Here are excerpts from the House.
I beg to move that, notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 81, which require that no motion shall be debated until at least 48 hours have elapsed between the date on which notice of the motion is given and the date on which the motion is moved. The motion for the second reading of the Electronic Communications Amendment Bill 2016 may be moved today. Right Honourable Speaker, I so move. Any seconder?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion.
It's necessary. The definition that he has given, if you refer to the memorandum to the bill, and page Roman number 2, paragraph 3. It reads, the cost of interconnection under the peer-to-peer scheme have been rising, and there are anti-competition practices. New operators and new expansions are delayed for as long as one of the operators may choose to delay in allowing access to connectivity. This results in a market failure. And it leads to revenue loss to the states. If a new operator is coming in, and one operator says that I'm not going to allow my system for you to connect to my system, depriving that new operator and for depriving government revenue. It's not a market failure. Order. Yes, can you land? Mr. Speaker, I'm done.
The telecommunication service providers did not want an interconnect clearinghouse at all. While there were other stakeholders that endorsed the policy, I think we must be fair to the telecommunication service providers and make the point that they have disagreements. And the disagreements are linked to this, Mr. Speaker. At the moment, interconnection is part of the technical business operations of the telecommunication service providers. If you make a call from one mobile network to another, that call has to be interconnected. That interconnection happens at a fee payable to the network end that is interconnecting on behalf of the generating service provider. Now, what this amendment is seeking to do is to now say you cannot do that through your own arrangement. An interconnect clearinghouse licensed by the regulator will do that for you.
Now, joint investigations have revealed that the water shortage that has hit parts of the Greater Accra and Eastern regions is caused by a blockage of one of the tributaries of the Densu River, which is treated to serve the affected areas. The obstruction is said to have been caused by sand winners at Chechirua in the Eastern region, who have dumped debris into the river to create a reef they could drive over to access their sand pits. My colleague Latif Idris visited the town and reports not only has the blockage contributed to the acute water shortage, it has also made life difficult for residents, particularly farmers who cultivate along the Kuya River.
Currently standing by the Kuya River in Mensa Krom here in Sawam. Now, the Kuya River is a tributary to the main Densu River. So water from the Kuya joins the main Densu River, where the Ghana Water Company treats for onward distribution to in Sawam and other adjoining communities. Now, in recent days and weeks and even months, there's been serious water shortage because the Ghana Water Company is unable to get its primary source of water to treat for onward distribution. Today, we have identified the cause of the shortage. This is it. Sand winners in this area have created a makeshift bridge across the Kuya River. So water is unable to flow to join the main Densu River, making it impossible for the Ghana Water Company to get their primary source of water. The blockade is not only affecting the source of water, it has also created massive damage to vegetable farms that are close to the Kuya River, making life very difficult for farmers in this area as well.
Sometimes when they find it difficult to cross the river, they push sand. When during the dry season, they put much sand into the riverbed so that they can cross it easily. So when it rains, the water cannot flow to join the main river Densu. Yeah, so that's how it is.
And you also mentioned that the bridge is destroyed, yes, making it difficult for your pupils to cross to school. How is that affecting enrollment?
Yes,
and attendance?
Yes, it's true. It's affecting us greatly because most of our children are beyond the river. So when it rains like that, you see the place get flooded, they will stay at home for 1 week.
Yes, Activities of the sun winners is causing serious difficulty to us. As you can see, the crops are not matured, but we are forced to harvest because the river overflowed and is causing serious damage to our crops. We want government to quickly move in and save the situation for us. Otherwise, very soon our livelihoods will be damaged as well.
Production at the Effector Water Treatment Plant has since resumed with the Ghana Water Company promising residents of Nsawam and surrounding communities they can expect their taps to flow again in the next 24 hours. The company's communications manager, however, says the blockage has come at great cost.
We started water production at 10 a.m. this morning, and we are hoping that within 24 hours we should be able to be supplying the whole of Nsawam Drudgery area, because we have enough raw water now in the system, and our new treatment plant will also by the weekend start functioning effectively. So we should have water the whole of Nsawam, including Amasaman area and closer to Pokwase. There are 6 other communities still around in Nsawam and Drudgery, which we will be serving with a new treatment plant. So we're going to start a test run of the new treatment plant. The old treatment plant is still functioning. So now that we have raw water, I don't think we're going to have any challenges within Nsawam and Drudgery again.
So they're going to see some relief. But we spoke to the Eastern Regional Operations Manager of GWCL, and he was saying that he can be certain that in 24 hours they're going to have water. Is this an update of the situation you're giving me?
Yes, he has said so, because we've had some power challenges as well. Now, we wanted to start production at 6 a.m. today. Unfortunately, because of some power outages, we had to wait till around 10 o'clock. Now, if we have consistent and constant flow of power, then we should be able to produce, because our equipment are functioning. There's no challenge with our equipment. The only challenge we'll have is when we don't have power. So when we are able to get power consistently, then we should, within 24 hours, we should be able to serve the whole of Nsawam Drudgery.
I'd be wrong if I say that you were not monitoring enough, because if you were, you would have known this. It wouldn't take over a month, 2 months for us to detect such a problem.
The monitoring of the river body itself is supposed to be done by the Water Resources Commission. Okay, but around at this time, there's no need to apportion blames. But I think it's a wake-up call for all of us, the Water Resources Commission and the Ghana Water Company Limited, so that we'll do more in monitoring the activities that go on along the river bodies, which we abstract for production.
Would you say this took you by surprise? It was unexpected for you?
Unexpected, because we never expected that that Ghanaians, patriotic as we know ourselves to be, would do such a thing, and knowing very well what it has cost. Because since December, it's been in the news that Nsawam Drudgery has been without water because the place has dried up, and they knew very well that they had blocked the water just for sand winning. Okay, so seriously, I am surprised that some Ghanaians were able to do that.
Yeah, when it happened, did it cost you anything?
Yes, it has really affected our finances. Okay, because we have had to fuel tankers on daily basis, about average of 10 tankers on daily basis. You fuel them and you give them water for free. Okay, and this has been going on since January. So you can imagine. So multiply by the number of days that we have been functioning. Now we are stopping the tanker services today because we've started production. So today we'll be able to put everything together. I wouldn't want to give any figure, which an estimated figure. I don't want to give the exact figures. So when we are done with everything, we'll put it out. but I'm sure we have spent some enormous amount of money in this case. But what I'm happy about is the fact that there wasn't any outbreak of any diseases, there wasn't any epidemic, which means that we've managed the situation effectively.
Right, we're taking a break. When we come back, we'll bring you details about the terror warning issued by the National Security Council. Please stay tuned. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now, the National Security Council is asking members of the general public to be highly vigilant, convinced that Ghana faces a credible terrorist threat. The council is also advising the general public to be cautious, curious, and report any suspicious activities to law enforcement agencies. This was the outcome of a meeting called at the behest of President John Mahama. Chaired by the President, the National Security Council reviewed the security situation in the country in the wake of an upsurge of terrorist attacks in the West African sub-region, where Mali, Burkina Faso and Cote d'Ivoire have fallen victim, and current intelligence on extremist activities in the region. A statement issued after the meeting by the Communications Minister Edward Omane Boama urged Ghanaians and other nationals resident in Ghana to bear with security measures that may be enforced at various locations from time to time for the purpose of public safety. The statement said the National Security Council, on the basis of briefings by the intelligence agencies and partners, has determined that there is a credible terrorist threat to all countries in the sub-region. The meeting also reviewed Ghana's anti-terrorism preparedness, joint services operations and other measures to ensure the safety of the citizenry. The statement also indicates the council will review the country's security situation on a continuous basis. But security expert Dr. Kwesi Enning says the terror alert failed to specify what the public must look out for. He, however, commended the National Security Council for finally recognizing, after delaying for close to 10 years, the change in security dynamics in West Africa and the threat it poses.
It's very good that the National Security Council finally, after close to 10 years delay, has recognized the changing security dynamics in West Africa and the way that poses a threat to us. But I think it raises concerns as to whether this is too little, too late. The second is something very innovative that I think most people would actually overlook, and that is the recognition that security is a shared responsibility. Okay, but having said that, how do you build security and make it a shared responsibility? What is the role of ordinary people like you and I? Now, if the threat is credible, what should the market woman be looking out for when she goes to open her shop? What is it that the farmer should stumble upon on his way to his farm? What is it that I, coming to work, stuck in traffic, might see that I might find a little bit odd and out of place? And were I to find this, who am I going to tell? Is there a hotline? Is there going to be an information campaign?
The statement that came suggested that you could report to any of the security agencies.
Well, if it's a shared responsibility, I don't think the statement expects the two of us as ordinary Ghanaian citizens to take any action, apart from reporting what we have seen that worries us. So I was actually expecting, and I'm still expecting, that there will be some more information saying, guys, these are the hotlines, manned 24/7, okay? And as you go out, these are some of the things that we expect you to look out for. Because look, Grand Bassam just did not happen. Grand Bassam happened because somebody rented a house, rented rooms, people brought in weapons, people rented jet skis, and people got out there. Okay, so I think it's important that if it's collaborative, then other more people should be brought in who have different skill sets. Maybe a language expert. And also somebody hears a phrase being used or a terminology being used, I don't understand it, but this is what I heard. So you take it to a language expert who might have been studying this stuff for the last 20 years and says, oh, yeah, this is what this means. And also, if the statement really does mean what it says, then considerably much more information needs to be coming out.
The terror alert in Ghana is believed to have been informed by intelligence supplied by the US and the UK. British High Commissioner to Ghana, John Benjamin, tells journeys it will continue to share that intelligence with the country's security agencies. He spoke via Skype on the Pulse.
There is an underlying threat that we all face, and it's right that the government advises its citizens to be vigilant. But an underlying threat means that the threat is there, but there's no specific intelligence about an actual planned attack. But as we saw just a few days ago in Côte d'Ivoire, next door to Ghana, as we saw in Burkina Faso, as we've seen in Mali, these attacks can happen without there being intelligence before they do happen. That's why everybody everywhere has got to be very, very vigilant. And I think it's a good thing when governments remind their citizens to watch out for any abnormal or unusual behaviour, which they should then report to the authorities, because it's better to be wrong on that and find that there was no threat than to ignore something which could end up being a threat later.
Okay, now some have said that the threat of terror is now very close to us as a country, Ghana, because of the events happening in Burkina Faso and now in Côte d'Ivoire. For the UK government, the alert you've put on your website, is it also in view of what's happening in Côte d'Ivoire, and are you putting in any measures at all in view of the developments in recent times?
Well, what we say for our travel advice to British citizens going not just to Ghana but to the whole region is basically the same, about the need for vigilance, informing them that the type of targets that these terrorists have chosen recently have been hotels and bars and beach resorts and so on. But on a bilateral level with Ghana, we cooperate extremely well with the Ghanaian law enforcement authorities, with the government. We cooperate in a number of operational areas, which sadly I can't talk about publicly because by their very nature they're confidential. But
well, the chairman of the Parliament Select Committee on Defence and Interior insists the terror alert does not mean the situation is out of control yet. He tells Joy News Parliament expects the National Security Council to do its job and keep the country safe.
And what we've got to do is to be vigilant. The national security apparatus in this country are working very, very hard to ensure that it doesn't happen. But the prevention comes best from the citizenry, when they are vigilant and they report anything that's untoward.
Something we are virtually losing control of the situation. Today we've heard the UK and the US government issue terror alerts for their citizens who may be traveling to this country. Is there an indication that maybe
That is standard. When they do an assessment, they usually, and they realize that there's an element of threat, they give that warning. But I don't think that in Ghana at this moment in time, and I don't want to bite my words one day, but I'm just saying that the onus is on the citizenry to be vigilant. If they see anything that is untoward or strange, they should report it. Because if it happens that they don't do that, then we have a problem. The national security apparatus can do the most it can, but it's the citizenry who prevent anything like that from happening.
But then the question also becomes, are security guys well equipped enough to possibly deal with some of these issues?
You're in
Parliament. You play an oversight role over the executive.
What Parliament does is to give the logistic support. We identify the problem and then we give them 100% support. That is what we'll do. But beyond that, you know what I mean? It's us. It's the whole country that has got to work together to ensure that the country is safe.
So that's for the citizens, but for government as well, what's your word to them?
Well, what's my word to them? I mean, they've got to get their act together and make sure that at least from their point of view, nothing untoward happens.
A matter that we can make a comment on now. Let's find another opportunity.
The Minister for Defence, Dr. Benjamin Kumbo, also wants the public to trust the security agencies to keep them safe. He was speaking to Joy News on the sidelines of a book launch on marine security.
It's not a matter that we can make a comment on now. Let's find another opportunity.
So, but what assurance can you give to the public? You know, in the light of the attacks, people are eager and all of that.
Yes,
you know,
we are sure of some developments that's taking place in Ivory Coast, and we are making sure that we try as much as possible to keep on top of the security situation.
A word or two to the ordinary members of the public audience?
Of course, they should just remain calm. As far as I'm concerned, our professionals are on top of the situation.
Well, on top of the situation means what? Because
Now, National Security is organizing a briefing, and Joy News' Kwabna and Prechum, Interior Ministry rather, is organizing a briefing on this particular terror alert, and Kwabna and Prechum is joining us live from that news briefing. Good evening to you, Kwabna. What have they been saying?
Good evening, Israel. Now, you know, yesterday the National Security Council released a statement telling Ghanaians to be cautious, vigilant, among others, to look out for possible terrorist activities or people with the potential to commit terror. Now, some security analysts have criticized this, saying that there wasn't enough information in there detailing what exactly government is doing to protect the people. For instance, what is being done in our airports, what is being done at the hotels, what is being done at some soft spots like the beaches and others, which are usually the target. Now, the Interior Minister, Prostabani, has been responding to this. What he's saying is the details are there, but they don't want to give the terrorists the arsenal. They listen to the news as well. They listen to every information you are putting out there. They have taken the measures. That is, government has taken every measure necessary to protect our ports, to protect the airports, to protect every possible place that a terrorist will go. But those details cannot be divulged because it gives them the arsenal, that is the terrorists, to think of countermeasures to these details. So what he's saying is Ghanaians can rest assured. He's not going to say that there won't be a bombing on anything, but we should all be vigilant. If you're walking in the street and you find a bag that is not attended to, if you're at the airport and you see a bag not being attended to, if you see people acting suspiciously, even in public places such as the bus terminals, you should be vigilant. Call the police hotline 1-855 and alert authorities. He's saying we shouldn't take things for granted now. Even if you find that the gate to your home has been tampered with, you shouldn't joke with it because these are serious times and we need to take things seriously, Israel.
All right, thank you very much, Kwabna and Prechum. And Kwabna and Prechum is joining us from a news conference organized by the Interior Ministry on the terror alert that was issued earlier, or issued actually yesterday. Still to come in the bulletin. Aggrieved customers of microfinance firms who lost millions of Ghana cedis in deposits demonstrate over the delay in releasing their funds to them. Up next after the break, though, we bring you business news. All right, the debate about the public debt and how much has been borrowed by the current government and all that has been going on for some time now. Emmanuel is here and you're continuing that debate, or it's been settled?
No, it's not settled. I mean, it keeps on mounting and it's becoming alarming. Within a period of a month, it's gone up $4 billion. I mean, Ghana cedis. That's quite huge.
Well, yeah, it is. It is quite huge.
And it looks like all the efforts or the measures that the government is trying to put in place to actually reduce the debt, profile, it's not working too well.
Meanwhile, of all this debt that you're talking about, all you're looking for is about 50,000 cedis to buy your car.
For the car. I told you to draw from heaven like a manna.
Let's pray.
All right.
Okay.
I believe in prayer. All right. So it's time for business now, and the government's quest to bring down the public debt appears not to be yielding the desired results. The country's debt increased to 97 billion Ghana cedis as of December 2015. This means in just 1 month, that is from November to December 2015, the government added about 4 billion Ghana cedis to the public debt. But Deputy Minister of Finance, Ato Forson, says the debt levels could have been even higher if certain measures were not instituted.
You will notice that obviously from 2014, the fiscal deficit was 10.2. It has been declined to 7.1% for 2015, and is going to decline further to 5.3% by December 2016. This means that the rate of borrowing is actually reducing. And if you look at clearly the rate from 10.2 to 7.1, more or less is 3 percentage points of consolidation. What this means is that ideally, if it had stayed at 10.2 as previous in 2014, you would have ideally gone to the market to borrow to take care of this expenditure. But because of the consolidation, it is actually coming down.
Now, the Power Ministry says it is working hard to prevent the country from being plunged into darkness in the coming weeks. The assurance follows plans by Tullow Oil to shut down the Jubilee FPSO from March 20th for 2 weeks. Ghana National Gas Company has indicated that it will not be able to supply gas regularly from its processing plant to the country's power producers. There are fears the planned shutdown may plunge parts of the country into darkness and affect businesses. But Deputy Power Minister John Jinapor says they are trying to avoid this.
What we intend doing is to first of all run thermal plants that can run on light crude. Today we are discharging additional light crude. The challenge is that some of the plants run solely on gas, and a clear example is Ameri. You simply have no option than to shut it down because there wouldn't be gas. But we will look at all the other thermal plants and run the scenario, and then we'll determine how we can manage the situation. And
Ameri, so for instance, going, that will be over 250 megawatts going off. I mean, that could have impact on power supply to the country.
Certainly, if you lose 250 megawatts, it has an impact. But whether that would have significant impact, we would have to do all the analysis and determine that.
Has government secured the money to bring in the light crude oil?
We are discharging the crude today. As I speak, we have some amount of crude in store, but we are topping that up with some crude today. And so light crude is not an issue. The only challenge is that not all the plants run on light crude. And so that is one of the challenges we are faced with.
So the assurance I get from we won't have any serious load shedding during that period?
It's too early to draw conclusions. Let us look at all the issues. We'll try as much as we can to manage the situation. But as I said, it's too early. Let's remain calm. We are working with the engineers. The engineers will advise us based on the available plans, and we shall make that available.
Meanwhile, Ghana Gas says it has in stock adequate supply of gas to be processed, which will last for about a week and a half, depending on the level of drawdown and total demand. Speaking on the marketplace on Joy News this afternoon, Corporate Communications Manager of Ghana Gas, Alfred Ugbami, assured that even though the company will be hard hit by the 2-week maintenance shutdown, it has a reserve that will help off-takers. Now, Cosmos Energy says the pick-up in the price of crude oil is critical in helping to attract funding for existing and new oil projects. The about 70% drop in oil prices to about $29 a barrel saw some financiers cut funding to the sector. This could have affected exploration projects in Ghana. Country manager of Cosmos, Joe Mensah, tells Joy Business the rebound in oil prices is therefore good news for oil projects in the country.
Molecule of fuel today has so much to do for us, and with the Africa and emerging markets all seeming to develop their infrastructure, so there will always be need for fuel, and therefore the demand will be there. We have a vested interest in doing more exploration. So while people might be retrenching on oil, we want to continue with our work because we're an exploration and production company, and we feel that we should continue to do that.
Meanwhile, Cosmos Energy has set up an innovation center specifically targeted at helping young entrepreneurs in the agri sector. Mr. Mensah explains to Joy Business why the focus on the agri sector.
We want to demonstrate that we are here for the long haul, and therefore, yes, we are an exploration and production company in oil, but we're doing something that people will say have practically nothing to do exploration and production. So it's a demonstration of our commitment to the environment we work and to help the country in which we work. Ghana as a country was pretty much run on agriculture. The basis of this country has always been agriculture, but we shouldn't allow oil and other sectors override and really cannibalize what we do in agriculture, because there's so much that we can do in agriculture to feed ourselves and export as well. And I'll give you an example. I'm sure you know about Blue Skies. Blue Skies, it's a real viable company doing extremely well. Today, they import so much from far away places like Brazil and all that to come in here, whilst we can develop our own environment here and get our own produce to feed into Blue Skies so that Blue Skies wouldn't have to import all of that. So we can feed ourselves and export some as well.
Now, Now, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources says it expects its new website and service charter to boost investor interest in the sector. The ministry officially launched its website together with a service charter on Wednesday to make it more efficient in executing its mandate.
The website was created to enable investors and the public in general have easy access to information about the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, its services and projects. Sector Minister Ni Osamils told Joy Business at the launch that the initiative should help investors make decisions.
Especially in the areas, for example, of mining investment, because they can read from our website and they can read about our agencies and the services offered by the Minerals Commission and the laws, the regulations, the policies on mining, for example, which are all going to be published there at the site, and that will make it easier for investors sitting far away to have the information they require at the click of a button and to be able to take decisions on investment.
The ministry also launched a service charter for more efficiency in its mandate.
This is, in a sense, a manual to serve ourselves, remind us of what we are supposed to do, how we're going to do it, and also to remind the public of how we expect them to behave towards us. It also sets out who our key collaborators are. For example, the various government agencies and ministries apart from ourselves. It also sets out various bits of information about ourselves beyond the vision and the mission. So basically, that's what you're going to see in our service charter. And we think this is an important document which is, in a sense, our reaching out to our stakeholders and getting them to come closer to us.
It's live on the business segment on the news, and it's time to go to the stock market. I've been joined by John Kojo Amakon to tell us what's at stake today on the stock market. John, good evening.
Good evening. Exactly. A lot happened today, but not in terms of volumes and values, but then we had some significant movement of equities in there. As a total of 117,373 actually did trade in terms of volume at a value of 150,588. These were not, I mean, these are not significant, but it was able to actually drop market capitalization by almost about 2% to about 55,357 million. That's exactly how it is. But then the more important thing is those equities that were able to move the market as we speak, talking about Standard Chartered Bank, GOIL and all. So I think basically that's how it is, and bringing the CI to about 2.68%. That means that if you were invested or you had invested in the Ghana Stock Exchange, as we speak, you'll be losing something close to about 2.8%. And these were the top four movers of the market. The top two gainers were Unilever and then GOIL. Unilever actually added 20 pesos. Seriously speaking, since the beginning of the year, no equity has actually been able to add 20 pesos to the investors' capital, and Unilever has done that today. GOIL also added 2 pesos, quite significant there. But then another significant news worthy of note is also about the fact that Standard Chartered Bank also lost 6 pesos to their investors' capital, and then ETA also lost 2. So that's basically how the market. These were some of the movers. And then on the commodity market, we look at crude now back to the 40 region, $40 per barrel region, after it added about $1.52 to it. And then gold still losing $11, almost around $11. And then cocoa also added $45 to it to close around 3,077. So that's basically how the commodity market really is. And of course, the currency market, we have certain dynamics in there. As today, the CD gained again the United States dollar, but lost to all the other three with respect to the British pound, the euro, and the Chinese one. So today or tomorrow, you would need about 3 Ghana cedis, 87 pesos to get $1.
US dollar.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So that's exactly how the market performed today.
Okay, thanks a lot. So that was John Kojo Amakon telling us giving us up to date on the information in the stock market. And that wraps up the business segment for tonight. Thank you very much for your attention. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Good evening and keep watching the news.
Flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo Dankwa, says he is confident that the... right, so I'm going to take that story once again because my prompter is messing me up. So I'll move on. The flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Nana Akufo-Addo, says he's confident Ghanaians will soon move from poverty to prosperity. Speaking at the 57th SRC celebration of the Ghana School of Law here in Accra, the NPP leader asked lawyers to ensure the nation does not miss this great opportunity for transformation by exhibiting high integrity. Joy News' Raymond Aqua has the rest of the story.
The event brought together lawyers, law students, and other stakeholders in Ghana's judiciary to deliberate on the theme, Rethinking Justice Delivery in Ghana's Democratic Dispensation. Nanado in his speech explained that many extrajudicial killings and excesses of the military regimes of the past could have been avoided if legal practitioners were alert and up to their responsibilities.
The Constitution have in the main been reenacted in both the third and our current fourth Republican constitutions. That is the impact of reacquittal. So our work matters. It affects profoundly the ordering of our state. So we all, and especially you, the next generation of lawyers, as your director described you, have a duty to remember that you have a special duty to our society and nation, a duty of integrity and intellectual honesty. That is the way forward for us in the 21st century, which I'm confident is going to be the Ghanaian century. The century that will see the transition of the Ghanaian people from poverty into prosperity within the framework of democratic institutions under the rule of law.
On his part, a member of the Council of State, Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante, accused today's lawyers of not having the interest of the country at heart.
The other point I want to make is that if you think of the very early lawyers, Saba, Sechi, Dankwa, Kesney Avon, Postman, Lenum, and all these people, they were a special breed because they could have easily been insulated and co-opted by the colonial authorities as a special class. But they fought bravely and courageously for the interest of their less educated brethren.
The keynote speaker, Professor Justice Samuel Databa, said the judiciary has learned a lot from the mistakes of the past and is better positioned to deliver justice without fear or favor.
These judicial views in the Fourth Republic clearly indicate an assumption of a bolder judicial role than that adopted in reacquittal. I have not found any judicial view expressed in the Supreme Court in the Fourth Republic in favor of the reacquittal decision. The contemporary judiciary owes much to the restructuring proposals made by the Constitutional Commission of 1968, on the basis of which the 1969 Constitution was formulated. Chapter 11 of the 1992 Constitution on the judiciary continues to reflect the reforms proposed by that commission.
Raymond Aqua, reporting for Joy News.
Some aggrieved clients of microfinance companies DKM, Jasta, Goddess Love, and Little Drops in the Abrahafo region town of Nkoranza have been demonstrating to express their dissatisfaction with government for delaying on its promise to retrieve their monies for them. The protesters allege that so far 61 customers of the defunct microfinance companies in Nkoranza have died, with fears more could die. The customers have for months now been demanding their monies, which has been locked up because of a freeze on the company's operations by the Bank of Ghana. The aggrieved customers say they plan to organize a grand funeral on November 7 to bring closure to the issue and also boycott the general elections.
Nipa Adiosia Bako, an investment, they became Goddess Love, Justa,
Let's drop. Nipa adiosia baako na ewu. Sikasemi bebi atwetwako atwetwaba. Yana na mampanyina begina afidie so.
About 161 people have lost their lives as a result of the microfinance issues. The president in the State of the Nation address put the blame on the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Kofi Wampa. But Dr. Kofi Wampa hasn't acted in the right way to calm our tempers. On the 7th of November, when the whole country is electing its parliamentarians and the president, we will hold a grand funeral for the microfinance companies that have put us in this mess. The funeral will go on for a week.
7th November, I bet what about next year. Today, now, Samampayina Kase, or the Sumo Bank of Ghana, that's the canon. What just got my that's one show on my number at the Nidi, Nigga, the Nidi, and Gugua. I was on the Asare ever from it. Then you flew out.
I was saving the money to help my mother in her business. My mom is seriously ill. My family is in trouble because we have lost our money. I planned to use the money to help my brother further his education. I invested 3,800 Ghana cedis in one of the microfinance companies. I asked if the company was properly registered, and the officials answered in the affirmative. No one is coming to my aid, and my brother's education has hit the rocks. I wanted him to become a president, but it cannot be a reality now.
Because me man go school. Me ana me boa me ho a me timi fie adwuma me ye hairdresser ni. Se me nim wo fie firi ba bia. Me nua no tuti fie. Me pese wo konanim e kwa te se bia man panyin se bi.
Also, members of the Volta sector of the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana say government's failure to pay their feeding grant is taking quite a toll on them. The arrears, which they say has been outstanding for 3 semesters, is making life unbearable for the students, more especially, they say, because of the current economic hardship in the country. They are therefore calling on government to, as a matter of urgency, pay them the arrears or face their wrath.
Speaking to Joy News on Wednesday, the Volta sector president of the Teacher Trainees Association, Melisusu Elikem Derek, stated that due to the delay in the release of the feeding grants by government, principals of the various colleges of education are compelled to include feeding fees as part of school fees for the trainees. He also chastised government communicators for propagating falsehood that all colleges of education have been paid their feeding grants up to date and cautioned them to stop the propaganda.
Government is supposed to pay for this feeding fees, but because it is not coming, the principals are charging us in order to sustain us anyway. But government continues to say that they are feeding us 3 times a day. Meanwhile, it is not true. It is not true. Meanwhile, it is not true. So what we are saying is that we are calling on government to do what? To pay this feeding grants that is in arrears 3 semesters, which is over 1,500 Ghana cedis, which is due every trainee in this country, and that is exactly what we are calling for.
The association has also implored government to call to other principals who are extorting money from teacher trainees by charging them utility bills, which is already being paid by government.
Government has taken it upon himself to pay utility bills for all tertiary institutions, universities, polytechnics, and then colleges of education. We applaud the efforts of government on that anyway. But extortion has become the order of the day, and I'll continue to hammer on this point because government continues to pay these utility bills to what? To principals. But again, principals continue to bill students for utility. The big question is, where lies the equity? They are paying you the utilities and then you continue to bill students. So in effect, what are you saying? So extortion has become the order of the day in our colleges in Ghana now.
Fred Kwame Asare's report for Joy News.
We're taking a break now. We'll bring you international news thereafter. Right, Efua Singh has joined me. She's going to be telling us what's coming up on Joy News Interactive.
Hello, Israel.
Hi.
We're talking terrorism and corruption today. Now, it's official. Ghana is at risk of a terrorist attack, and the country is on high alert as everyone has been asked to keep an eye out for any suspicious activity. We hear from you.
On the ground, we must open our eyes and watch who comes in. Let's say if you work in a hotel, you must watch suspicious characters. If you think that there's a character who is acting in a very funny way, you should call security at once.
And police commander allegedly drops cocaine case against his friends.
They have to be removed from their positions because what the person does is bad. But they take the law in their own hand, so they free the people. So what they have to do, they have to take them from their position. They don't deserve that position. They are causing corruption in the country.
Well, in my view, nobody is above the law. As far as I'm concerned, anybody who is caught in the act should be dealt with as the law spells out.
Details coming up on the interactive segment of the news in just over half an hour. Ijo.
All right, and one other thing that we've left out yesterday, myself and
you posted.
Yeah, we're debating whether
you and John
there's any
Dumelo
resemblance. So we've actually posted it on our Facebook page. You can go and check them out and see if there's any resemblance at all. And we're going to be talking
Maybe I'll
about
go and comment myself.
All right, so we have that. We have sports. We have entertainment all coming up in the second hour. Please stay tuned. Time now for a recap of our top stories. And Speaker of Parliament sworn in as acting president in the absence of both President John Mahama and his vice, in keeping with recent Supreme Court ruling. National Security Council issues alert about credible threat of a possible terrorist attack and urges the public to be vigilant. Ghana Water Company resumes production from Dainso River after it was discovered that the severe drafting of the river was caused by a reef built by sandwinners. In business, public debt hits 97 billion Ghana cedis as at December last year, an indication government's efforts to reduce the debt has not been that successful. And aggrieved customers of microfinance firms who lost millions of Ghana cedis in deposits demonstrate over the delay in releasing their funds to them. Now on to the rest of our stories. And the Ghana Association of Driving Schools has stated that the major cause of road accidents and carnage on Ghana's roads is due to individuals adopting an unauthorized approach to learning the skill. According to the association, individuals prefer to learn driving without going to driving school for proper training, a situation which is accounting for the increasing cases of accidents.
According to figures provided by the National Road Safety Commission, the country, as at February 2016, had a total of 207 people killed in 919 road crashes nationwide. The Association of Driving Schools believe most of the accidents could have been prevented if the drivers had formal training before sitting behind the steering wheels.
The laws governing driving is broken. Our drivers are very recalcitrant. If our drivers will do the right thing, well trained, and therefore will know the laws governing the profession and put them into practice, they will travel our people from one end to the other safely. If we are training nurses, doctors, policemen, journalists, teachers, lawyers, name them, why do we allow driving to be done anyhow? They will do their own thing and manage to get to DVLA, find their way out, get the license, and then they call themselves drivers. I see them being licensed to kill rather than being licensed to go and drive defensively.
The Deputy Director in charge of driver training, testing and licenses at the DVLA, Kafri Semevo, says the DVLA is putting measures in place to ensure that people who only go through accredited driving schools are given license.
Currently, as required by law, you are supposed to get a minimum of 48-hour training at a driving school before you can apply for a driver's license. Currently, as it is, there is no person who can apply for a driver's license directly to the DVLA apart from people who are converting foreign licenses. They can come in directly and then apply. But if you are applying for a Ghanaian license for the first time, you are required to go through a driving school. Now, if you come to us, we cannot register you straight onto our system until you have registered at a driving school, obtained a reference number from the school, and that will enable us continue the registration at our end. So if you do not go through any recognized driving school, it is not possible for us to register you for a driver's license.
But in a case, we still find people getting licensed. They don't go through some of these institutions, but they end up getting their license.
I'm telling you that it is not possible for you to apply for the license directly without going through the driving school. We have people who are coming for upgrading. People who are coming for upgrading are not required to go for training as of now. Soon that measure will be put in place, but as of now they can come in directly. Those who are doing conversion of driver's license can also come in directly. Apart from this category of people, any other person applying for the first time will have to go to the driving school.
The DVLA has a total of 230 accredited driving schools nationwide.
138,000 people are expected to be vaccinated in 3 districts of the Upper West region. The reactive vaccination program embarked on by the Ministry of Health and its partners is as a result of meningitis in the country, which has claimed several lives. People between the ages of 2 and 29 will be vaccinated on the strain of meningitis known as Neisseria meningitis. Upper West Region correspondent Rafiq Salam visited Nadole district where the exercise is ongoing.
The reactive vaccination program for the 3 districts in the Upper West region, namely Jirapa, Nandom and Nadole, to contain the new strain of meningitis known as Neisseria meningitis, started on Tuesday. Although Neisseria meningitis is not new, health officials believe it has the potential of becoming an epidemic if not brought under control. Neisseria meningitis spreads through saliva and respiratory secretions during coughing, sneezing, kissing, and chewing on toys. 138,000 people with ages ranging between 2 and 29 in the 3 districts will be vaccinated during the exercise. In the Nadole district, 43,000 people are expected to be vaccinated before the close of Friday. Acting Upper West Regional Director of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Winfred Ofosu, visited the district to see for himself how the exercise is being carried out. Places visited by the health director included the Puri, Kalsegra, and the Nadole Market. Dr. Ofosu threw more light on the vaccination exercise.
As part of control measures, we continuously monitor the number of cases from all the districts. In doing so, we detected that 3 districts, Nadole, Jirapa, and then Nandom, cross epidemic threshold. And once a district crossed epidemic threshold, as a result of the numbers of the cases, we have to take certain actions, which includes vaccination. As a result of that, we contacted Ministry of Health Ghana Service, and in collaboration with our partners, we got vaccines that we are vaccinating the population 2 years to 29 years in these 3 districts.
The Nadole district recorded 140 suspected cases of meningitis, out of which 42 were positive. Currently at the Nadole District Hospital, there are 11 suspected cases of pneumococcal meningitis, with majority of them being children. Thus, explain the reason why the Nadole Health Director, Florence Ansong-Mene, welcomed the exercise undertaken by the Ministry of Health with open arms.
We strongly believe that it's going to solve the problem because we are building immunity of the targeted group. In fact, if you look at those vaccinated, the positive cases we have, they form over half of that population. So I think we are really getting the real targets of the disease. And I believe when they are immunized, the rest of us are covered once this group is immunized.
Reporting for J News, Rafik Salam, Nadoli.
Now, the Ghana chapter of the United Kingdom-based NGO is worried about negative attitudes and values of Ghanaians on national progress and development. The Chief Executive Officer of Change Minds Ghana Limited, in an interview with Joy News, has therefore revealed the need to influence the young ones in schools with practical activities that enhance national progress.
The Changing Minds workshop was aimed at soliciting views on attitudes that harm national progress and development.
We believe that you got to begin from formative years, and therefore we would seek to institute Changing Minds clubs in all the schools in Ghana. We believe that functional education is critical, so we would like to influence the minds of the young people in the primary schools, in high schools, in universities. And how are we going to do it? We believe that we got to engender values of citizenship.
However, the acting chief psychiatrist of the Accra Psychiatric Hospital and CEO of the Mental Health Authority, Dr. Kwesi Osei, thinks that unless laws and systems work in the country, Ghana cannot develop.
What they are saying is that we all recognize that we are not where we want to be as a nation. We want to move further. We want to be like a developed world. But we want to get the best of the developed world and the best of our world. The developed world, we know their systems work. We know the law works there. The law does not work here. Everybody, by the end of the day, would have had something to eat.
So the news team sought the views of some Ghanaians on national development in the country.
We are still doing our best to establish the nation, and our leaders in particular are doing their best in all aspects, social, financial, economic endeavors. They are doing their best to develop the nation.
It all starts with the mind. The point is we are not ready to even think properly for ourselves. And therefore it boils down to the fact that we cannot develop unless we change our minds.
We're in a country where each political party comes and develops just for votes and just to win the minds of the people for a short period of time. And at the end of the day, we don't have a long-term plan for the country. So I basically think that for Ghana to move forward, we need to get the type of leaders that will be able to have a mindset and a vision for a long-term plan of the country.
Entertainment is next. For entertainment, and Miss G has joined me.
Hello, John Dumelo, or what's your name again? Israelite.
Yeah, my name is Israelite.
Okay, so you're not John Dumelo.
No, not at all.
Okay.
I can't be John Dumelo.
Oh.
Yeah.
You look like John Dumelo?
Well, people tell me there's a resemblance.
Okay. How come I'm not telling you same?
Because you probably don't have the eyes.
But Israel, can we see that picture already?
Oh, so the picture is on our Facebook page?
Yes, but the picture is an old picture.
Hold on. There are three photos. There's one that I took it was after I was told that, okay, there's the resemblance. Then I took that photo and then I posted it on Facebook. So that one is the first one. It was in 2010. And then 6 years later, just last night, I took the other two with him.
You see, my problem is you've highlighted the old one. And the other one, which was taken yesterday, which doesn't seem to tell the, which is real.
I think as we grow, we grow apart.
Okay.
You can say that.
Oh, really?
Let's carry on with it.
Anyway, so yesterday I told you, like you saw him yesterday, John was here, and then we spoke about lots of issues. I'm sure everybody wants to know what his relationship with Yvonne Nelson is, and if he has political ambitions as well, because we've seen him, going on some political platforms.
Well, he's been on the NDC's campaign plan.
Yes, so what he says he's not talking politics, but he still has a dream, of venturing into politics, and then some other issues. So it's a hangout with John Dumelo.
Your relationship with Yvonne, how far?
Oh, we're cool. We're fine.
We haven't seen you in pictures in a long time.
Well, I mean, she's busy. I'm also busy. I've been doing a lot of traveling here and there. And, I think she's producing her movie or series, something like that. So she's been pretty much busy. But it's the relationship is, I met her at the Ghana, the VGMAs, the lunch. And, we took pictures. We spoke for a bit, so it's fine.
You still still go eating, having lunch?
All right, so John DeMello talking about, his relationship with Yvonne Nelson. And, he says that he has intentions, to venture politics, that if God asks him to, we might see him become maybe president someday, And Grams Morgan is in town. There's a lot of talk about Grams Morgan. But you know the song, the Joshua wash away all the tears from my eyes. You know why Grams Morgan put that song together?
No.
Now, apparently he lost his mom some years back, and he was on tour with his sister, and his sister was crying, saying that she had missed their mom. And then he said, after 9 years, he went to the studio and decided to do a song about the demise of his mom, and straight he got that song.
Oh wow.
That's how come we got that song. But he's been talking about jollof rice. He says he thinks that Ghanaian jollof is better than any other jollof anywhere in the world, and also he's been telling us why he is in Ghana.
Stoneboy and Samini and Shatawale, and not for the young artists, there's so much of them, but those are the most famous ones that I know are bridging the gap between Afropop and dancehall and reggae. And I think artists like Wizkid is one of my favorite artists doing Afropop. Ianya is amazing, and Yemi Holiday. Those are some of the ones that I love. That's on repeat on my iPhone, and there's certain times when I'm driving in many different parts of the world and I want to feel like I'm back home, I just go to African playlists. I have a playlist with all of these African artists, and I think some of the Ghanaian artists, they bridge the gap between the dancehall and reggae and Afropop.
Luciano, sometime back in Jamaica, was on TV. He says that he thinks Ghanaians are copying Jamaicans.
For me, I think we Jamaicans are just finding back our root. It's not really copying. I think we're sharing. I think they are learning the Jamaican culture, but not the music. How can Jamaica? Africa is the root. Africa is the foundation. Every genre of music comes from out of Africa. Within every beat, whether it comes from Congo, Congolese music, Angola, South Africa, Ghana, Nigeria. If you check the music, jazz is the foundation of it. Is in Africa. Senegal, you listen to Senegal music, you'll hear the influences of reggae and hip hop and dancehall. So I don't think nobody in the Western Hemisphere, from Jamaica or Cuba, or none of them can say that they are the original, because Africa is the original. So, but as far as copying the culture, yes, of course. When a man say, yeah man, or wagwan, that is Jamaican, but that is just a language, not the music. There was a debate I had on my Instagram page, and I had a debate, where does the best jollof come from? And somebody said Senegal, somebody said Nigeria, but the best jollof I have had is in Ghana. I'm telling you, Ghana has the best jollof rice, and it's one of my favorite dishes.
So we have it, the best jollof rice, jollof ever. It used to be a huge debate, between us and Nigerians, So Grams Morgan gives it to us, so we have the best jollof.
Well, who knows? Somebody else may come and say, okay, it's Nigeria. Then the debate then we start the debate all over again.
I tell you.
Yes. But I met him this afternoon for lunch. We had an interesting conversation.
Oh, you didn't take pictures?
No, because I was expecting that he's actually supposed to be coming into the studio. I'm still expecting him.
Yeah.
And so let's see how it goes. We'll talk some more.
Sure. Okay, so did you know that Majid Michel has lost his voice? For 2 years now, he's been straining to speak. So if you see him in movies, he actually strains to speak.
Oh, wow.
Yes, he said he just woke up one day and the voice was gone. And I have seen him when he's been here. You try to speak to him and you see that he's straining actually to speak. He said for 2 years now, that's how the situation has been. But he's been making some quite very, very strange revelations. He says when he has a loudspeaker, the voice just comes like that. But phones, no, he can't be on phone. And he has to text people and all that. So he granted an interview to Peace FM.
2 years ago, I was traveling and then suddenly my voice started breaking. Over 2 years now, yeah. If you watch a match today, you realize very clear points, the voice, and But it's funny, if I have a mic, not like this, a mic with speakers, it comes. If I'm giving public talk and all that. But like this, our telephone is worse, and I strain it. And it feels like it's, I run out of breath easily.
Wow.
Yes.
That's quite a story.
That's a huge story.
Yeah.
You know. But let's move on. And there's a sad story as well. P Square, they're tearing apart. I don't know. These are twins, you know. Why?
I thought they split some time back.
Oh, okay. We thought that it was publicity stunt. Apparently, it's real.
It's real.
Now, Paul has recorded a song calling on his mom, who passed on some years ago, to intervene in the situation. Says that if she were alive, she would have been the only person who would have been able to speak to the situation.
Somebody please go heaven. Make her tell my mama, say it don't happen. Hey, hey, hey. Oh, Papa, that level. Hey, yeah. Where I promise you, say it don't go happen. If to say, who not there for everything where they happen today. Say we no go misbehave. All man go they concentrate wherever you are. We no be who we are. Cause if to say who not there for everything when they happen today. If all be say who not there. Cause right now
all right, Israel has a surprise for us. He said it earlier, and now, ta-da!
Ta-da! Okay, so here in the studio we have Grams Morgan.
Yes.
And we're expecting you a lot earlier,
yes.
Except you couldn't make it. But it's great to have you.
Absolutely.
We heard the interview, played back the interview you had earlier on in the day about the reason why you're coming to Ghana and all that. Man. So virtually we know about that. But I had a conversation with you earlier this afternoon.
Yes, we did.
Where I got to realize that indeed he's into farming.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I believe that is going to sustain Africa. There's no reason that we need to import carrots and chicken and apple and all these things into Africa.
How long have you been in?
Well, I would say about 10 years, but as a profession, about 2 years now. And because anything I try to do, I try to make sure I have research and I study is the same way with music. So when it came to farming, I wanted to do years and years of research and find out what is a crop that can sustain itself on the shelf. So I grow Scotch bonnet peppers in Jamaica. I'm at 60 acres right now and about to extend to 360. And I want to show young youths across the world that Africa is that farming is a sexy thing.
Farming is sexy.
Yeah, you know, and it's a way that it's a viable way that you can sustain yourself. Everyone does not have to be a football player or an artist. Farming is a thing that we can sustain ourselves, and you can ball. You can say you ball in and have and get all of the necessary things that you want out of life through farming. But a lot of kids are not looking at farming as a way of life. And this is what I'm trying to change, and I'm working alongside the Organization of African Development to bring the awareness of this. And I hope to soon have a farm here in Ghana and create jobs for young youths. If we can teach 10 million youths across Africa, even within kindergarten, the Ministry of Agriculture needs to make sure that is part of the curriculum that we can, because we have so much land. What are we going to do? Keep throwing up buildings? You know, we need to teach the youths them how to plant banana, planting, pineapple, tomato.
What's the motivation behind all this?
I saw my grandfather years ago as a child, you know, rest in peace to Mr. Cleveland Morgan. And even though he could buy corn from the supermarket, he wanted to plant his own corn in the backyard. And today's seeds around the world have so much genetically modified organisms in them. And Africa, there's places in Africa that naturally eat organic. You go to the countryside of Ghana, there are people eating organic naturally. And when you're in America, you have to go to Whole Foods and you have to pay, you know, hundreds of dollars.
Quite a bit of money.
Quite a bit of money for a couple bags of food. So I want Africans to understand and have a value on farming, especially the youths, because I believe that farming is a major part of Africa's success. But the kids are the future, so we need to let them understand that it's not all about football and
You
music.
seem to be falling in love with Ghana. Why Ghana?
I'm falling in love with Africa. Isn't she beautiful?
She is beautiful.
Have you seen the Ghanaian woman? So it's just Africa, man. We as Jamaicans and as Rastafarians have talked about Africa so much. I live the life, I'm a Christian, accept my Lord and Savior Christ, and have studied Christianity through Ethiopia, the oldest Christian nation on the earth. And we've always spoke about Africa. We've always spoke about the forefathers, Kwame Nkrumah, Haile Selassie, Jomo Kenyatta. We've always spoke about our forefathers. So Jamaicans just have a love for Africa, period. And I remember when Rollins came to Jamaica and he spoke, and Jamaicans were just very enthusiastic when he was coming to Jamaica. I don't know why, but I just followed everybody. It was like, because it felt like the right thing to do. But Africa, we know where we are from in the Western Hemisphere, especially Jamaicans. So when we finally arrive, we don't have time to play. We want to get things done. And I'm not coming to Ghana or any part of Africa to say what Africa or what Ghana can do for me. I want to do for Ghana.
You know what since I met you this afternoon,
Yes.
I've been playing this one track, it's been ringing in my head. Just wash away
all the tears from my eyes. In times when the storms and the tides are raging high, we know we shall win. We know we'll survive. Yeah. Just shall wash away all the tears.
You know, he says apart from jollof, his favorite is Kele Willy. I want to ask if he's had that already.
I haven't had Kele Willy.
Okay.
I had a fish burger not too long ago, but I want some Kele Willy. I went to this restaurant, but I like the authentic.
Authentic one.
Yes.
Yeah, by the roadside.
Yes, man. The real gumbo.
Oh man. All right. I mean, we could go on and on and on and on, but
Yes.
Unfortunately, we're running
Absolutely.
out of time.
And I just want to say thank you to all the Ghanaian fans who supported Morgan Heritage, and we hope to have a Morgan Heritage concert here soon. I am going back to Jamaica and bring the family, and we hope to have a show in the stadium soon. Shout out to all of the artists. Them big up my friend Stone Boy. I love you, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You know, we carried all the details when Stoneboy was with the Morgan Heritage.
Well, yeah,
family.
we are following
Yeah,
it.
we
Yes.
followed everything and we reported.
Big news coming.
Yep.
Yes.
Right, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's it for the entertainment segment. It's been great having Grant Morgan here in the studio. Up next, we'll bring you sports.
Jah shall wash away all the tears from my eyes. In times when the storms and the tides are raging high, we know we shall win, and we know we'll survive. Yeah. Jah shall wash away all the tears.
All right, so from entertainment action to sporting action, and Gary's here to take it up. Good evening
Today
to you,
we
Gary.
got you to sing. This one came from your not from your heart, from your gut.
I hope I didn't do so too bad.
No, it's all right. I mean, what's the connection? I could feel that, you were in the groove, in the spirit.
No. It's because I met him this afternoon, and he made an impression on me. He was talking about agriculture and what it meant for him and all that, and I just connected.
He convinced you to be a farmer?
In fact, I've always dreamt about being a farmer. It's something I'll be going into.
Amen.
When I retire.
Amen. That's great. That's great. Anyway, that should be in about 20 years' time.
Not
so
20.
You have time. You have time.
All right, what's coming up in sports?
Champions League and some surprises. Bayern Munich are losing.
Oh.
Yes, they've been beaten 2-0 at home. They've not been beaten. They are being beaten 2-0.
Still in the first half.
Yeah. First half, it's some really interesting scores. I mean, the other one.
All that, and I just connected.
He convinced you to be a farmer?
In fact, I've always dreamt about being a farmer. It's something I'll be going into.
Amen.
When I retire.
Amen. That's great. That's great. Anyway, that should be in about 20 years' time.
Not
so
20.
You have time. You have time.
All right, what's coming up in sports?
Champions League and some surprises. Bayern Munich are losing.
Oh.
Yes, they've been beaten 2-0 at home. They've not been beaten. They are being beaten 2-0.
Still in the first half.
Yeah. Not a surprise.
Yeah.
Neymar has put Barcelona ahead. So it's halftime. Barca are cruising. I mean, it sounds like a training match. It looks like a training match for them. So Barca 1-0 against Arsenal in the Champions League, meaning that it's 3-0 on aggregate. But the surprise one is the other game where Bayern are losing at home. A goal from Cuadrado and another one made sure that from Morata is ensuring that Bayern under Pep Guardiola. And you know the interesting thing.
Still the first half.
Yes, still the first half. But you know the interesting thing. How would the football world feel if Manchester City, who have qualified for the next round, and are sacking Pellegrini and are bringing in ostensibly Guardiola, who is better? And what if Guardiola gets out at the stage?
Wow.
It's going to be a big deal. But anyway, and in Germany, remember when we spoke to Hardy?
Yeah.
Yes, Guardiola is not revered there because when Bayern Munich get you as the coach, they want you to win the Champions League. For them, the Bundesliga, anybody can win it.
Okay.
I mean, they have so much money, they can literally hand it to you and you can win it. If you are a good coach, you have to win the Champions League. So
the Champions League is a test.
It's the holy grail for him. Even though he has won the German Super Cup, the Bundesliga, the German FA Cup, no, those are small fry. They won this one, the big ears.
So he can't afford to lose.
Yes, yes. So that's in the Champions League. I'll be telling you how you can follow our coverage more. But in Ghana, the MTN FA Cup was good last season. Mediama won, and this season, per the draw that we've had today, is going to be good as well. Clubs have been urged to take the competition seriously, and that was Kwesi Nyantichi speaking at today's draw that was done at the head office of the title sponsor.
FA Cup competition is one of the most important competitions of the Football Association. Not only comprehensive, but the largest. It encompasses participation of clubs from all the three layers or three tiers of football division we have, namely the Premier Division, the First Division, and then the regional leagues, which are the Second Division clubs. The most interesting thing about it is the surprises that are usually produced. And it's also brought out very interesting names that we have for clubs across the country. Last year, there was a pairing involving the Crocodiles of Paga, hosting Kumasi Asante Kotoko. And anybody could guess the outcome, whether Asante Kotoko was going to be swallowed by crocodiles or they will survive the attack of crocodiles. But at that level, it provides a brilliant or an excellent opportunity for young football talents to be on edge. Without the FA Cup competition, Second Division clubs and to a large extent First Division clubs will not get the platform to showcase their talent on television and for the viewership of all of us. This year's competition has already started, and thankfully this is the 6th year running. When we relaunched the FA Cup competition 6 years ago, many thought it was going to be a 9-day wonder. With the support of MTN, we have seen this competition through 6 successive years.
So the MTN FA Cup is on. Some very interesting pairings. We have a team called Real 24 Hours. We have Masokwa Deportivo, we have Real Bayern Munich, and so on and so forth. The defending champions are Mediama. They have been charged to do well in the second leg of the CAF Confederations Cup. Don't forget that they were beaten by Al Ittihad Libya at the weekend, and they are trailing. Kwesi Nyantichi wants them to do Ghana proud in the second leg in the Western region.
Our defending FA Cup champion, Mediama FC, just returned from Tunisia, where they gave a good account of themselves. Though they lost 1-0 in football, we think it's a margin that can easily be reversed on the return leg when the Tunisians come back here. So we all pray and hope that Mediama will progress further into the competition.
So that's in the FA Cup. Meanwhile, in the Barclays Premier League, Aston Villa, where Jordan Ayew of Ghana is based, are slipping away from the Barclays Premier League. It's been terrible, to put it mildly, in terms of the season. They spent a lot. Randy Lerner supervised a lot of pound sterling being spent on players, including Vertu, Jordan Ayew, and a slew of French-based players, as well as some talent from within England as well. But it's all going to pot.
It's one of English football's most famous clubs, but the name Aston Villa is all but certain to disappear from the Premier League for a while. Harry Kane ensured they were comfortably beaten by title-chasing Spurs on Sunday, but new additions to the club hierarchy, including one-time Manchester City chairman David Bernstein and ex-Villa boss Brian Little, offer some hope for the future.
They've got some good people now upstairs. What they need now is some better people downstairs. Lots of clubs have left the Premier League and failed to return. Now, if that happens to Villa, that's the biggest crime in amongst everything that's gone on.
This time last year, Villa had just beaten their local rivals West Brom, won 4-0 at Sunderland, and would soon be heading to the FA Cup final under Tim Sherwood.
I think that they have got a nucleus of players who are going to be good enough to challenge to come back into the division. They've got a lot of experience. They've got Jolyon Lescott, Mika Richards. They have to get it into their heads, the players. They need to mentally accept that they're playing in the Championship, if it is to be the Championship, and they have to be willing to stay at the club and fight for this club, because these fans deserve it.
Despite the club's wretched current position, the players insist they'll fight to the end.
We're determined to get out. No one wants to be relegated and be associated with that, but the realistic is it's a possibility, and we know that, so we've just got to keep fighting to the end and show desire. And as I said, it's a collective effort. There's no one making any individual mistakes. We're not pointing any fingers at anyone. We know it's a whole team effort.
Spring has brought little respite to Aston Villa fans who've been in open revolt against the owners. Relegation's likely to be confirmed next month. The club's revival will almost certainly have to begin in the Championship.
Still in England, but with a Brazilian flavour, and world footballing legend Pelé, Edson Arantes de Nascimento, to put it in the lengthy form, has decided to put up 2,000 of his personal memorabilia up for auction. The man, who is the only one in footballing history to have won the World Cup 3 times in 58, 1962 and 1970, is putting so many items, including all his 3 World Cup medals, in addition to the one-of-a-kind Jules Rimet trophy that was given to him to mark his 3rd World Cup success in 1970.
World-renowned football great Pelé is putting 2,000 personal items up for auction, including 3 World Cup winners' medals estimated at $100,000 each. Regarded by many as the world's greatest ever football player, the Brazilian striker hit the world stage in 1958, when at 17 years old, he became the youngest person to play in and score in a World Cup final. Far from being a one-hit wonder, he also secured 2 more World Cup titles with Brazil in 1962 and 1970.
Pelé is a global icon. The interest in this auction has been phenomenal. We only announced the auction last week. The auction takes place here at the Mall Galleries in London on June 7th, 8th and 9th. We have an exhibition opening on June 1st here at the Mall Galleries, and so we expect people from all over the world to attend. We're also exhibiting in Ireland, in New York, in Los Angeles. So that just speaks to how important an icon Pelé is. Still alive and well today. He'll be here at the Mall Galleries as well to launch the exhibition. So it's going to be a fantastic auction, and you're going to have people like fans, collectors, museums, investors will all want to take something away from Pelé's life and career later, keeping in mind there's over 2,000 items going on the auction block.
The star attraction in the auction, however, is the Jules Rimet trophy, which was made especially for Pelé by FIFA and the Mexican government after he led Brazil to their third World Cup victory in Mexico in 1970. The trophy is inscribed with all 3 of his wins for Brazil and could make in the region